Hello and welcome to PowerJackRepair.net, where we specialize in PowerJack replacements on laptops. This is MSI MS-1783 GT72 model. We have a video like that from 3 years ago, but the equipment got upgraded since then, so we just making an updated video since those systems start to come in every now and then. This was made in 2016-04 and 6QF, it also says in it. Alright, so the problem is when you plug in the power cord someplace here. Yep. People had to jiggle the plug to make it work, but now it doesn't conduct the electricity anymore to the laptop. And the problem on those, usually the minus no longer conducts the electricity. So for example, if we connect this to the metal part right here, so here we check that the voltmeter is working. Here. We check that the voltmeter is working, right? And when we connect the plus, we can see some resistance, so the plus is working. And we connect the data, and I think the data and the plus are the same on this model. Yep, right there. So zero resistance, meaning the plus and the data signal is the same. And if we connect it to negative, you see there is something going on there, but it should be more like that. It should show a zero resistance, because this is a negative part right here, and that's a negative part right here, but showing something but doesn't do anything. And that's the problem on all of them. The problem is it's a huge power supply. Right here is the power supply, and because of the too much current, this is one of the biggest power supplies, 230 watts, because of the huge power output. The board sometimes dies right under the jack, or the jack itself dies. So yeah, let's begin by taking this system apart. It's pretty simple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know how to count, so yeah. If you're in Chicago, you could fix it in about an hour and a half, or you could mail it in. The total cost is $100, so you could send us just the motherboard. That's the reason we show you those videos without any ads running anywhere. So let's begin. Okay, so here. Alright, so once you have those 7 screws out, what you do is lift it up like that and disregard it. Okay. So the first thing here to disconnect is that battery right here. Okay. And I want to disconnect it from that black ground side. Otherwise, I might short something. So, like that. Alright, so once the battery is out, You want to bend it all the way out like that, because when you're going to put it back together, you're going to forget about this cable. And when you're going to be putting cover on, this thing not going to let the cover close down well enough. Alright, so the next thing we do is... Alright, so here, like that. So the next thing we do is we disconnect those cables here for the I would say speaker. One is the speaker cable, another one could be another speaker. There is a cable right here, and you have to be extremely careful of how you take care of that cable. Alright, so you put that cover upwards, and then you pull out the cable like that. Okay. Next thing is, I think this thing is kind of out of focus. Give me 1 second. Okay, so that focus is much better. Now what we want to do is flip this hinge upwards, don't break it, and then pull out the hard drive like that, and slowly if something happens to this cable, probably not gonna find it anywhere. And if you break that thing right there, you only have these SSD drives to work with. Alright, so this is a long screw. You have to set it aside to a different location from all the other locations. Here what you do is you disconnect. What you do is you hold down that connector to the motherboard, and then you pull out this cable upwards like that, okay? And here you just pull it from this end, rocking it slightly left to right, and eventually it should come out. It should come out. There is a cooling pads that hold it down, so like that. Okay, good job. Okay, hopefully that's all the way back in. Here we got this piece right here. Disconnect it like that. You want to disconnect that cable right here, and we got a cable on this end, the one for the fan. Again, what you do is you hold down that hinge in there and you pull upwards on it. Now this is disconnected, all of that disconnected, those guys are disconnected. We also want to disconnect the wireless cables. And when it comes to wireless cables, you have to be extremely careful, and I'm honestly not sure if it matters which order they're connected to each other, but I just marked them just in case, which one was where. And the way you disconnect it is by lifting it upwards slightly, like that, and like that. Okay, wonderful. Now we disconnect the fan. Alright, we set aside the screws for the fan. We remove the left fan. We remove the right fan, and you want to place them so that you will know which one is left, which one is right. Here you want to remove this sticker tape. Garbage that. Okay. So you probably need to disconnect this heatsink before you're gonna take the cover out, because there is a speaker here and there's a speaker there that are in the way of getting the whole thing out. But in order to get those guys out, you need to bend this plastic that way. In order to get that plastic that way, you need to disconnect the screws right here. Like that. And you know, while we edit, we might as well disconnect all the other screws. Otherwise, I'm gonna be fixing it all day here. And that screw right there is probably, that hinge is probably broken. And that's the reason I can't get that screw out, so no big deal. Well, the theory is simple, just unscrew every screw you see. Alright, I don't see any other screws. This thing seems to be coming out just fine. And the next thing you want to do is you shove a something screwdriver right here and you push on the CD-ROM so it would come out that way. Okay. Now the next thing is you want to disconnect is the heatsink. Alright, so there are basically black screws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 2 right there holding down that whole assembly, and it seems like somebody already screwed around with it because the heatsink is clean, meaning somebody was taking it apart before. Alright, so what we want to do is, okay, so you want to lift this thing a little bit upwards, but you don't want to damage the video card. Alright, there are cooling pads all over the video card, so it's best if you don't move those cooling pads. And now what we want to do is we want to put those cooling pads back on the way. So let's see. So if you made a mess, make sure that those cooling pads are covering this card right here. Then what we have is this pad is part of that pad, but we can remove this right here because we got a huge part on this side. Okay, and this pad, it's probably gonna be hard to install. Okay, so we take this video card out, and what we want to do is we want to transfer this pad here to here. Now, if you gonna screw around with any of those pads, cooling pads, and the video card gonna burn out in a week, that's because you didn't place everything the way it's supposed to be, and that is properly back. Now, this guy I'm gonna leave right now on it because I might lose those pads while I'm working on the jack. So what I want to do right now is I don't want to touch those guys, so I will set this guy aside. We are setting aside the heatsink right there. Alright, so once this is all out, what we want to do, okay, so that one came out finally. We want to do is we want to lift this side first, and then this side has the audio ports in on the side. So what we want to do is lift up this whole side up, and then basically that way rotate it all this way, like that. Alright, then I got one screw right there. Alright. Come on. It's probably likes being there. Okay. Well, it's hard to take this guy out of there, but we are able to do so. Like that. Now, okay. This cable right here is for the video card. You have to be extremely careful with it. So you move this hinge upwards, you remove this side, you disconnect this cable, and you take this guy out. Alright. When it comes to the keyboards, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. Okay. Now, for some reason, this guy is disconnected right here, which is that means somebody was screwing around before. This is your power button. If you forget to connect this cable, you can press the power button all you want. It will never power up. Okay. So it will show that it might be showing that the battery is charging if you connected one of those cables properly. So here we disconnect this guy like that. And here you want to remove this tape because it's gonna be in the way. Not this tape, sorry, the other tape. The tape that's right here. Yeah, okay, wonderful. And you see this lock right here? It's gonna be a problem too. By the way, here is another cable that I almost missed. Okay. Alright, so we got one screw right here, one screw right there, and technically we should be able to take this whole assembly out. So what you can do is you can just send us this motherboard the way it is. You might want to disconnect this guy. Sorry. You might want to disconnect this guy because it might break in the shipping. And if it breaks in the shipping, nothing's good gonna come out. You might want to disconnect this thing, but before you disconnect it, you have to kind of mark it that this part is going here, this is up, and the down is, because sometimes people complain that they can't no longer use the two USB ports on the side, and it's because this guy is connected the other way around. This thing right here, I mean, again, if you send it in a box like that, you don't want to be breaking this piece. So the best way to disconnect it is by disconnecting this board right here, 2 screws. Pop this guy out. Instead of pulling that cable right there, you're gonna break the cable when you're pulling it, for sure. I mean, unless you do it all day, every day, you're gonna break it. So you got 2 screws right here. Disconnect that panel on the bottom, and then you can just set it aside. Okay? So now what I want to do is, you know the strange thing? There is no heatsink compound here, no heatsink compound there, and no compound right here. Meaning the CPU might be fried, or the video card might be fried, but my guess is somebody screwed around with the system before. They cleaned up the heatsink, they cleaned up the processor, they cleaned up this surface right here, the video chip. But it's better if you don't don't touch those. Obviously, we're gonna put the new compound. So let's begin. So the first thing you want to do is get the Kapton tape. And if you don't have Kapton tape, I wouldn't even bother fixing this laptop. There's just so many little components in the back right there that are not something that those components in the back, they're gonna basically fall off the motherboard once you're gonna start heating up the motherboard, and the whole thing not gonna work. So don't try to remove this jack without putting Kapton tape all around it, like that, and like that. Here I wanna touch on that other jack. Like that. Okay, wonderful. There is one little component right there, and we need much smaller Kapton tape. So sometimes the wider isn't always better. So what I'm thinking, maybe this should be like that. Yeah. Okay. All right, so the Kapton tape should be on the motherboard, and it shouldn't be on the jack itself. So, because the jack should pop out. Okay, so once this is all protected, and you guys can do the jack yourself, but honestly, sometimes when people try to screw around with this particular jack, we can't really fix it anymore because you scratch the motherboard too much. The reason you don't want to scratch too much the motherboard is simple. This area right here, this top trace right here, that goes to those two components, that's a plus. So basically plus, 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 plus. This is plus, this is plus, and in this motherboard, this is a plus as well. So those three pieces, 1, 2, 3, right here, 1, 2, 3, are pluses. Okay. This is a negative, this is a negative, 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 negative. And if you start scratching right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, or right there, you immediately short the motherboard and it starts to burn right at this location, at that location, at this location. So unless you have a hot air station, I wouldn't bother touching this motherboard without the hot air station. Simply because doesn't matter how much solder you add right here. If you're gonna be constantly putting your soldering iron here, 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 you will scratch the board where you're gonna short the plus and a minus, or a plus and a minus, plus and a minus. It's all just too close together. And when you're shoving the soldering iron here, I would be basically putting the soldering iron on top like that, like that, like that, like that, like that, like that. I wouldn't be jamming it in there like that. So the soldering iron I would be putting on top to add more heat, and then I would be putting hot air so that the hot air would be penetrating and the jack would just come out. So here you can just put soldering iron any way you want, but to these guys you either need to do it from that other side, that's a negative side, negative side. On those two, I wouldn't even want to touch those guys. It's just too close to the plus, too close to the plus. Okay? So the way how I desolder this particular board is by adding more solder here, 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 here. But first of all, lots of flux. So you put flux here, 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 everywhere. Then you put more leaded solder. Don't inhale the leaded solder, you're gonna die soon. And then you put hot air on top of it, the leaded solder evaporates, you're gonna die even sooner. And then the flux evaporates, the flux fumes also cancer causing, so you're gonna die even sooner of lung cancer. And then the hot air, the soldering iron, and that thing's supposed to just drop. You shouldn't be really forcing it, but it should just drop. Then you clean out the pads, and the way how you clean out the pads, you have to use a really thin desoldering braid. The thin desoldering braid probably most of you don't have, because even I sometimes have a hard time finding a really fine piece of desoldering braid to go all the way into this board. This is a really thick board. It's about 4 millimeters, 4 millimeters. The reason it's so thick because there is so much current going into it, and it's really hard to desolder or suck all of the solder from this board. Again, I never really tell on any video that people shouldn't try the repair themselves, but on this particular video we get too many motherboards where people just try to screw around here with some soldering iron that scratches the board here, and you can't really do much after that. I mean, we can, but it's gonna take us all day to fix it, and I don't want to do it for $100 or for $60 if it's not just the motherboard. And when you get it back, you're probably not gonna assemble it properly, because what we have to do, there is another video how to fix the board where people screwed around with this, who scratched this stuff. So what you need to do is you need to remove those two diodes right here. You have to run the wire from the back of the pluses through this hole right here down to here, and that way you're gonna have a plus on this side. Obviously you don't need to connect the plus here to the motherboard because you're gonna have a short either way. And on this end there is a plus right there. I think this is the plus, and that's the plus. And if they are shorting, you have to remove this guy and that guy. But again, my guess, you just have to get just one wire from here down there and on the other side. That's what I'm thinking, because I remember we had the wire from here to here, and then we had the wire from here to there to the other side. Again, the reason I'm posting this video is, guys, so what I'm saying is right here, you run the wire from the back to this side, but you have to remove those two guys. Again, that's when you screwed up. That's if you live in India, because guys from India have tendencies to, monkey around shoving, soldering irons everywhere. And but I mean, I admire people who try to do stuff themselves, even this stuff. So, but if you start screwing around yourself, you're gonna screw it up. Is it fixable? Yes, it's fixable. Again, you run the wire from the back, from one of those pins. Again, we have a video on that. Through this hole right here, and to the other side. And you remove those two pieces right here, and you connect it to right here. Okay, so now let's not screw up the system. Let me show you how to do it properly. All right, so we tested the voltage. Here's what we need to do. You will thank me later. Like that. Okay, client's calling, so have to pick up the phone. So we connected this guy, this guy, this guy. Now onto this guy. And remember, I removed this piece right there. It's so that this cable would be easier to plug in right now. Otherwise you're gonna bend it, twist it, and your video not gonna work well. So like that. If your video doesn't work well, it's probably because you screwed around with this jack for too long. Okay, so here let's see that there is some movement to the jack, to the, not the jack, but the hinges. Okay, all right. This guy is open, this guy is open, this is plugged in. This is the hard drive, this is the SSD. This looks perfectly fine. And this thing sits in there just fine, right? Right, okay. Wonderful. let's continue putting that cover back on, and the way you put the cover on is from the right side, like that. You kind of have to guide the board into the sockets. Kind of, yeah. Easier said. Okay, so once those guys are in, you just put this in like that. So 2 cables right here, 1 cable right there. Like that. 1 cable right here. Like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Making sure that those guys are perfectly aligned. Okay. So next thing is we are going to put this video card in. Like that. And like that. A smaller screw, not a huge screw, but a smaller screw. Goes right there. Okay. Now, on that second heatsink, you might want to remove this guy. Alright, and flip it out like that. And make sure that this little tiny component right there is going to be covered as well, like that. You can see everything from the top. Okay, so that little tiny component also needs to be covered. And now we're going to put some thermal paste. Alright, so we got some thermal paste here and there, and make sure that the cables right there are you want to bend out this guy so that the heatsink is going there all the way. Like that. Like that and like that, okay. Okay, so here we got two long screws, which we want to this is a torque wrench, so it gives like really tiny, there is no torque whatsoever pretty much. So, and this guy. Don't over tighten the screws, that's what I mean. Okay. Wonderful. CD-ROM back in place right there. Now. Alright, good job. First I want to connect the fan. And that. And not sure if that went all the way in. And that's a long screw right here. So you just put it like that. Okay, seems like a good job. So the thing we have to do is Okay. Final touch, don't forget the battery right here. Okay. And we connect the cover. Don't go away. Let's make sure that the system gonna work. First time screwing it back in. This thing right there doesn't have that, the nut basically broke out here. That's what client sent me. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's see if that system gonna work. Clamp everything together. And let's see. Like that. Open the screen. So we got the light right here, right? That's a good sign right there. Okay. Those laptops have tendencies not to power up right away after the repair, so I want to give it a few more minutes to charge up, and then I'm gonna try to power it up. You got the power light right there, power light right there. But sometimes the screen not gonna come up, so we will see how long it will take for the screen to come up. It's called the Dragon Edition. Steel Series. Alright, so finally we have the MSI come up. That's a good thing, because again, sometimes it takes its time. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I want to show you the client's information, but right there, right here, it basically shows plugged in and charging. Alrighty, again, we are at powerjackrepair.net. $100 if you send us the whole laptop, $60 if you just send us the motherboard. Thanks so much, and leave a like if it's not too much trouble. Thank you. And feel free to subscribe if you want. Thanks. Bye.